I'm not getting a full person when I've never met you, or we never really have had a high level conversation, or even like came to terms that we're both humans in this experience. So I don't get the like standoffishness, you know what I mean? Like leading with a wall, because we don't know what our relationship can foster, whether that's now or in the future. So it's just it does a disservice to both of us to even be talking and not sharing our human. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of us interacting on a surface level, or not even that? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just damaging. If you don't care about the other person, that's fine, but it's damaging to yourself as well, because there's no expansive nature to it. You know what I mean? Like, if we're talking about forms of energy, like, why are you perpetuating that energy? Why are you grabbing onto that energy? You know, if you really care about yourself and, what you do in life, I think these interactions are important to foster good health and good mental health, because we are humans and we're all interconnected. We all share a lot of the same experience, just in different forms. You know what I mean? Like, energy is not created or destroyed. So there's energies all energy in the world is here and is existing. So there is no energy that you're experiencing that is totally new in this plane. So it's just like, for someone to walk around as if they're, with blockages and not being able to, share human experience with a human, like, it's kind of walking around as a martyr. You know what I mean? Like, it's not using the self or the body. It's not using the mind. It's just stagnant. And when the human body gets stagnant, in my opinion, it what's the word? It retrogrades. It deteriorates. It declines. The human body will decline. It will age. That's a real fact. So I just feel like a form of reverse aging is nourishing the interconnection between us, reality, and the environment. And part of that is a healthy communication with another human. I know there's bad people in the world. And I know that's something that to be hyper vigilant about. But if somebody hasn't given you a reason, like in your own personal experience with that person, to hate them or to stand off from them and really, like, disown them, or just like not want to associate with that person, it's just, why would you do that? Why would you try to push somebody away that you have really hadn't had a bad experience with? Or, you know what I mean? Like, if you're just going off a feeling or what somebody else said to not like that person, like, what? It shows like you don't have any control over your mind and your experience. It just shows that you're a pawn. And if we're really getting into it, that's like NPC behavior. Like, it's like you're acting without your own mind. And it's just, what, why? Is that hive mindset? I bet you somebody with hive mindset doesn't even know what hive mindset is. Excuse me. I would never do that. I give everybody the fair assessment to, like, when I meet them, I give everybody the fair assessment to show me who you are. You know, I'm gonna be who I am regardless. Like, I'm always gonna try to be positive and uplift you. But if you cross me, you know, you're gonna meet a different side. But I'm never like going up to somebody like, it's not that, like, it's not that serious. Like, we're not in the field. You know what I'm saying? We're not toting. So there's no reason to be super hyper vigilant when meeting somebody, when getting to know somebody, or like, you know, interacting in a relationship. Of course, you're gonna have, you know, barriers, your own barriers from past relationship, but I don't think it's ever that serious. And I say that because the most serious thing that we can face in this reality is death, and death of the mind. And those are serious threats, you know, but they're threats. If nobody's showing you a threatening action or acting in a way that is threatening, there's no reason to be hyper vigilant. You know what I mean? Like, that's what fight or flight is. Fight or flight is a human experience to where it's like, it's not an experience, it's a human like adaptation to where if there's danger or something threatening, you have that fight or flight to get you out of it. You know, that's your body's reaction. So there's already a built-in cover. So there's no real need to be hyper vigilant mentally when meeting somebody or just talking and, you know, getting to know somebody. And I feel like that hyper vigilance is something that needs to be, you know, worked through. And I can sit here and tell you, like, I try to work through it myself. Like, I have anxiety from different things that I've been through, and I think I might have even been born, you know, into an anxiety-filled situation, you know. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't go around as a martyr. I don't go around thinking, like, he can be the next one. I need to watch out. Like, he smells weird. Nah, bro. Like, I give everybody the equal chance to show me who they are. And by doing that, I keep my virtue. I keep who I am as a person because I am always in my frame. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be who I am. I have different adaptations to fight. I have different fight or flight adaptations to get me out of situations and to veer from an energy I don't like. But I'm never moving around showing those spikes. You know what I mean? And that kind of, in my opinion, that brings in people. It's inviting. I'm inviting always. My energy is open, but it's not penetrable. If that makes sense. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, I feel like when I'm texting people, they're closed off. And that could be because of me. You know, I'm quiet, you know, and I'm not forthcoming with my emotions. And I could see how somebody looking at that could be like, oh man, like, who is this? But that's not how I'm leading. You know, I'm trying to, you know, go deeper and deeper on this topic. You know, I do have things I don't want people to get at. And I will shoot a wall up if I feel like somebody's trying to get into my fortress, you know, my internal fortress. But I'm never like, when I meet somebody or when I'm hanging out, I'm never just like, I'm not going to react until they react. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be forthcoming until they're forthcoming. I don't see the purpose in that. And the reason why I don't see the purpose in that because there's no growth and it kind of dampens your self-identity. Because if you're going up to somebody and you're not being yourself, that action is, you're not being yourself. And if you're not being yourself at all times, like, you're subject to hijack somebody else's reality, or somebody gonna come and hijack yours. And that's the dangers of not having self-identity. And that's kind of like, if you even think about it, that's the dangers of modern workforce. I'm not gonna go into that. That's a different story, but it's just like, people are walking around scared, essentially. And I don't want to say scared in a derogatory term, because danger is real in this society. And I understand why people are hyper vigilant. But, and I also think there could be a lack of real faith and, alignment inside. But that's a different story as well. But I just want to make it clear, and I want to drive it down, that mentally, if you're leading your life in a way of hypervigilant, and like, whoever I meet, I need to have walls up. Of course, there's instances that you don't want to put yourself in, and that's smart. But you can't do that your whole life. There's got to be instances where you're gonna have to go blind. And I think it's important to be open, to have an open sense of energy, because you don't know who you're gonna meet. You don't know who might need your help. You don't know who you might not want to interact with. It's that openness of your energy to allow the body to work, to allow the human experience to really develop. Because when you're open, you are in control. And I'm going to say that one more time. Like, when you have an open sense of energy and invitefulness, you're in control, because now you're not gripping to one side of the duality. Now you're kind of like in the middle of the duality. You're just having an open energy, to where anything, you're allowing stuff to come through. And when you're allowing stuff to come through, you're also allowed to push it away. But if you're not even allowing the energies to come through, it's dampening your human experience, because the body is already wired with a fight or flight. And if your fight or flight doesn't work, well, then you just need to go fix it. You know what I mean? Like, people are so in front of the body, and you're stopping yourself. You're not only you're stopping yourself mentally. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's healthy to not invite energies because you're hyper vigilant, right? It's that cut and dry. Like, we say it all the time, like, keep your heart open so you can find love. I think that applies to everything. I think that applies to every emotional breaker. You know what I mean? You got to be open and receptive to allow things to come in. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to harp over it one more time. Like, when you have an open sense of energy, you allow different energies to come in, and you can consciously choose which ones you don't want. Which ones are real, which ones are fake. This is kind of what meditation is. And I just think it's so important, because a lot of people are just like walking around like, oh man, like, who is that? Like, what he got going? Like, I don't know, like, that doesn't look good. It's just like, figure it out for yourself. Don't be a bystander watching, don't be a bystander of reality. Don't be a bystander of life and, the human experience, for real. Like, of course, this doesn't apply to everybody. So if it doesn't, keep walking. But I've been able to really grasp the human experience so far because I've been open to different energies and possibilities and realities. There is some things that in the 3D that I have grabbed that are, now bad for me, that I've maybe came dependent on, and have even hurt me. But there's also a lot of energy that I have grasped onto, or been able to welcome into my energy field, that have blessed me immensely. I've met people that I never thought I would meet because I can overlook certain things. I could decide, I could welcome somebody in and decide whether or not, it's for me. And that's because I've separated myself. I've separated my ego, from the attachment to hypervigilance. Not to say that I'm not hypervigilant and have an immense amount of anxiety, but because I don't grab onto that, I'm able to look at it. You know what I mean? I'm able to look at anxiety and say, when it comes towards me, that's anxiety. I'm able to turn the other cheek because my mind is not locked on to anxiety. I've allowed my body to have the experience of anxiety. And there's nothing really I could do about that because, I've been in situations that I had no control over that have hurt me. But that's okay. Like, that's life. What's not okay is if I were to, for the rest of my life, grip onto that. I'm anxious. I'm socially awkward. That's defeating. Because you wallow in it. You wallow in that. But if I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm anxious, I'm this, I'm that, and then I don't let that become my identity, I'm a stronger person. I'm able to work through it. And I don't know how I got on this topic, but we started here because I was saying that I text certain people and I don't get the full person. And it's evident. Unless the person, there's only two other things. The person doesn't know how to text, and not a good texter, or they could just not like me. They just don't have character. They don't have substance, which is okay. And that doesn't deter me from not texting the person. Like, I'm always going to be who I am. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're always who you are and you allow yourself to grow, you know what I mean, and evolve, it doesn't matter what things come towards you, because when you locked onto yourself and you know what you want, believe, you're able just to push it away. But not developing that sense of self, that's how you get locked into certain emotions. And I think it's important to say one more time, like, the body's equipped to handle a lot of different emotions. It's equipped to keep you moving. You know what I mean? Like, you have to nourish it, of course. But the body's an amazing creation. The way it harnesses our energy, and it allows us to move within the 3D, and mentally also to move through the spiritual. It's amazing. But you have to get out of the way of the body so it can really holster a human experience. I want to keep going on this, but I feel like this might be a good point to stop. So I'm sure I'll go over it again. Let's really have this conversation, y'all. Like, let's really do it. So, love you guys. Peace. These are just conversations. I am not a perfect human. I'm growing every day in God and in faith. So let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it and let's grow. I love y'all, man. Peace. I think it's important to know that this is a working process. And this is something that I didn't just wake up and start doing this. Like, I've worked on this consciously for a while. You know what I mean? And I've been through certain adversities that have forced me to develop self. You know, I consciously sit and develop self. So I'm not sitting here from a high horse or saying like, you people. No, it's just like I'm saying this because I've been there and I go through it every day, like just like every other human. I'm not coming from a place of I'm better. It's just a place of it could be achieved.